Hello and welcome to this video. On this one I'm going to be talking about the safety profile of chiropractic care. Now, critics a lot of times will point to safety issues with chiropractic, but they don't ever put them in perspective, which sometimes I'm going to be trying to do on this video. But let me start out by saying that the number one cause of malpractice cases against chiropractors has nothing to do with chiropractic treatment. That's right. Has to do with diagnosis or lack thereof. The number one reason chiropractors get sued for malpractice is because they failed to diagnose a serious condition that needed other types of treatment, such as, for example, cancer or heart disease or something of that nature. And that is what chiropractors get sued for most often, not for causing an injury. So take that for what it's worth. The second thing is that the injury that people seem to be most afraid of from chiropractic isn't something that actually happens. I think what happens though is people see an action film or something like that where the hero grabs somebody's head and they wrench it and it goes crunch and the person dies. It doesn't actually work that way. If you ask anybody who's been in the military or has actually been trained to kill people in hand-to-hand combat, they will tell you that is absolutely ridiculous. Doesn't work that way. And it certainly doesn't work that way with chiropractic adjustments, which are much more gentle and not intended to break somebody's neck. So while there have been a couple of very, very isolated incidents where fractures have been associated with chiropractic treatment in the neck, those have always been in situations where the person has recently experienced some kind of major trauma, and the speculation is that the fracture was already there, the chiropractor just displaced it, and that's what started causing the problem. So still serious, and again, that kind of goes back to the diagnosis thing. If you don't diagnose the problem properly, you can get yourself into trouble and your patient into trouble. So the number one thing that you'll hear in terms of risks of chiropractic is probably the stroke thing. Again, associated with manual adjustments of the spine. And I say manual adjustments because low force instrument adjusting has no risk involved with this. There may be a risk, but it hasn't been calculated. It's so small. So what is the risk of manual adjustment of the spine and vertebral artery stroke? The vertebral artery is in the neck. It actually runs down through holes in each vertebra on the side of the vertebra. And that's typically when you hear about a chiropractic stroke, it involves the vertebral artery. And the risk of that is about 1 out of every 20,000 adjustments. And that's across all chiropractors, good, bad, and different. In places where chiropractic adjusting is done by very specific technique that's observed, such as in a chiropractic school clinic. The example that I use is Life University, which is a chiropractic school. And in their clinics, they've had over 5 million adjustments and never had an incident of vertebral artery stroke. So take that for what it's worth. Some chiropractors are definitely more skilled and more careful and more talented than others. And so, the averages are about 1 in 20,000. Now, if you are worried about that, I actually use a variety of different chiropractic techniques. So if you don't want to have manual adjustments of your spine and avoid that risk altogether, I'm happy to use a low force technique like arthrostim or activator, which I discuss in the techniques section of this website. The other thing that I'd like to bring up is that I've been in practice for 30 years. In 30 years' time, I have had a grand total of 0 vertebral artery incidents, 0 malpractice cases, and the worst that I've had reported to me from patients is, in terms of adverse effects related to my care, has been that they were really sore afterwards. Every once in a while, I'll have somebody who actually feels worse walking out of the office than when they walked in. That's really unusual. I actually had the first one in a long time last week, so it's kind of top of mind for me right now. First one probably in 5 or 6 years who actually felt worse leaving the office rather than better. So my record's pretty good. Does that mean that I couldn't possibly cause a problem? No. I do my best to be as safe and effective as I can, but things happen. But I think my safety record kind of speaks for itself. 30 years without any major issues. So, and like I said, I'm happy to modify my technique to make things more comfortable for you and avoid any serious issues that are even possible, let alone something that likely could cause a problem. So that's it for safety. If you have concerns, I'm happy to talk with you further about it. But for the most part, chiropractic's pretty safe, and my record's been pretty good over the last 30 years. Hopefully it continues that way for as long as I continue to practice. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.